We changed the way people perceived Mexican cuisine. And we did that by telling the stories of our people and celebrating our heritage along the way.
Angel Medina grew up with one foot in Southern California and the other in Mexico. Still remembering the first moment he fell in love with food.
Every Sunday we would go to church, Catholic church, and right after, the only thing I cared about was all the food stands. So it was the toughest decisions, whether it was to go like tacos, obviously, or the tortas, or even the pancakes.
Often unimpressed with how Mexican cuisine was represented here in the States.
This makeshift sort of Mexican cuisine with really mediocre ingredients. I think the first time I tried a tortilla, I learned what depression was because it was so bad here in the States.
14 years ago, he moved to Portland.
I opened my first coffee shop, opened another one, and then took a break, and then during the pandemic, opened restaurants. Opened our first restaurant, República.
Never knowing this would push him to start a hospitality empire, founding 2 more restaurants besides República, like Lilia Comedor and De Noche.
All of them have a commonality, which is corn, which, you know, if you're Mexican, it's just one of those things that you love. But when you really have good corn, and it just sort of changes your entire life.
Plus a cocktail bar called Kamala, 3 cafes, and a roasting company. All places in Portland that highlight authenticity, and grew in part thanks to Medina's mentorship.
If you keep just going down the ranks from our sous chefs to our general manager at República, you'll see somebody that started with 0 experience, came into this industry, and now is, we'll be lucky to have him for another 2 years because he's really that good.
His commitment to shining a light on those often underrepresented doesn't stop there.
You're not used to seeing Latinos doing cooking shows or, video podcast women talking about the struggles of wine.
Recently starting Todos Media, a platform where women, people of color, and members of the LGBTQ plus community are invited to share their stories.
The show that exists out there on the big platforms, you just don't see us doing it. And for me, it was easy to say, okay, let's create a launching pad for all those things. And so far, I think it's going pretty well.
Helping break barriers and uplift others. Sydney Dorner, KGW News.